Hey, good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a Bitcoin Steven and the BTC Guru here live on a Friday. How we doing, Doug?
I'm doing great. It's good morning here in the west coast of the United States, and happy to be breathing again another day in this beautiful country and beautiful California. You can't beat the weather. Man,
Yeah,
it's every day you get up. Oh, it's going to get hot today. Oh, 72, just like yesterday, 72.
yeah,
So
it's
kind of
amazing.
don't mean to brag, but it's kind of nice.
It is. We have I'm a big golfer, right? We got the U.S. Open here about 5 minutes from my house out at Torrey Pines. And
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
it got a little fogged in yesterday morning, so they got off a little bit late. That's the only thing we get every now and then. In San Diego is, we get a little bit of June gloom.
Yeah,
We get a little bit of climate cover down there, kind of foggy kind of thing. But
yeah. I actually, this is the first time I've lived like right on the coast.
uh-huh.
Usually inland, probably about 30, 40 miles. And so I never experienced the June gloom and that kind of stuff. But actually, I don't mind it. It's a nice little break from the sunniness that happens every day.
Yeah,
It feels like you're in Seattle for a while.
yeah. There's nothing like living right there at the water, isn't it? I mean, it's just such a treat for those who haven't had the opportunity
It
to
is.
experience something like that.
Thank God.
The
And thank
fresh
Bitcoin.
air, just you just walking around, just that fresh air just makes you just feel more alive. That
Yeah.
sea air,
Yeah,
right?
I do a walk around. I'm on an island, and it's about 3 miles around it. I do a walk every morning at 5, and you're right. The air is amazing and refreshing. It starts the day off right. You can't
Yeah.
be negative starting your day off that way. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's one of those things that, my wife and I have always noticed whenever we go stay at a place like Mission Beach or something like that, when you're right there at the beach, we
Yeah.
actually get up every morning. We go for these nice long walks where, you kind of live inland. How many times did you get up and go for 3 mile walks at 5 a.m. when you lived inland all the time? It's
Yeah,
just
not too often.
not quite the same experience, right?
Yeah, it's completely different. So I'm blessed. I'm completely and grateful for where I live.
Yeah.
Hey,
We're
I was reading some headlines today. The Bitcoin mining, and Elon Musk is heavily in the news, and Michael Saylor, he started that
right.
mining commission to, just to help bring good stuff into mining, and a lot of it is the green stuff that I'd love for somebody like Michael Saylor to stand up to Elon and say, "Hey, okay, we'll tackle this mining thing, we'll get it dialed in. You tackle your battery thing. That's taking more resources." I read basically a summation that said, for him to create a battery for one Tesla, it takes as much energy out of the earth as a gas powered automobile for the life of its life, the whole life, not just creating the gas powered one, but all the gas that it uses and the oil that it uses and the carbon that it puts into the air to create one battery. It's more. So we got to tackle that. Somebody's got to, get in Elon's face and tackle that. Hey, I respect Elon as a businessman because he does some incredible things, but he's this whole running around and trying to control Bitcoin thing I don't like. And here's the good part. He says, "Hey, I'll put Bitcoin back in and let people buy Teslas with Bitcoin as long as 50% of the mining is green and renewable." It already is. They basically announced it today. 3 of the largest mining entities, pools, said we already are on renewable. So, okay, put your money where your mouth is. Throw it back up on your website now, Mr. Elon.
There you go. I saw isn't Michael Saylor? It looked like he was. They were borrowing like $500 million to buy Bitcoin to set up.
They did a stock issuance, a preferred stock issuance, and I thought it was $1 billion worth of stock they're issuing to buy more Bitcoin. Yes.
Yeah, to buy more Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
And weren't they going to be offering like EFTs or something like that with that? Because he's going to actually have people invest. It looked like they were going to be able to invest in the Bitcoin or the stock. I was kind of unsure of how that looked.
Yeah, I'm unsure about what the structure is because I didn't read the prospectus.
Okay.
I do know they're issuing some preferred stock to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. That I know for sure. How they're going to package it and present it to people to raise that is you have to go research that on your own, or I can research it. And I'll tell you on Monday.
There you go.
So this whole mining thing. And you as an individual, if you're interested, if you have any technical not you don't even need technical experience. If you got any technical desire at all, or you're good at the technical stuff, you can throw a mining machine in your house. You go to YouTube, and there's a 23-year-old kid that's making whatever thousands of dollars still mining Bitcoin in this day and age, with just machines at his house.
Really?
So yeah, and he goes through, and I'll put it on BitcoinHeadlines.tv in the post area, that the link to this video. I watched it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, so it's still out there. You can still do it, and that's a great way to earn Bitcoin. Any little bit of Bitcoin you get is awesome, because the price is only going up.
It's only going up.
Yeah, we talked about El Salvador and how the World Bank said no, you can't do that in El Salvador, which is virtually asinine, because you can't tell a sovereign nation what they can and can't do with a blockchain that nobody controls. I mean, you can't use that blockchain that we don't control.
What's funny is the World Bank was saying that they didn't feel that Bitcoin was very transparent.
Who's not transparent is the World Bank. What happens every 8 to 12 years? Some huge scandal happens inside the World Bank where somebody embezzled billions of dollars.
Oh yeah. It's like talk about transparency.
We don't see their ledger. Right? Do we see their ledger?
Never.
Do we see how money comes in and who they give it to? No. Can you in Bitcoin? Can you see every transaction? Yes.
Yes. Ask the guys who just had all their ransomware money taken back.
Right. Yeah. The whole based on my research, the whole central bank in the United States, the Federal Reserve, and the World Bank and the IMF, they're all created at the same time. They all are ran by the same people, and it's all about controlling the world's financial direction and environment. And
kind of like the group of families that everybody always talks about that kind of run everything behind the scenes. It's kind of that people, right? Yeah,
there's a hierarchy there, and it all boils down to a small group of people for the last few hundred years.
Right.
But that system is crumbling. In the past, I would be a little scared of that, because when something crumbles, you got to put something in its place, or something worse could happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Put in there. That's the beauty about Bitcoin. Bitcoin and the blockchain came in.
It's already in place, right?
It's the perfect replacement for this. You can't just print this money. In May, inflation was 40%. If I just read something on it, I could be off on that percentage, but it was a large percentage. So which means your buying power went down 40% in May, because they printed so much. And then they just put out the minutes of their last Federal Reserve meeting and say, we're going to keep it going. We might raise interest rates in 2023 now instead of 2025 or whatever, which got everybody up in arms. But they're still printing. Yeah, they're buying $150 billion worth of bonds every year. And the only reason they do that is print $150 billion worth of paper. And if you research this, it's crazy what happens when the Federal Reserve prints $1 billion. That costs them whatever the cost of the paper and the ink, right, and the printing machines.
Right.
So that costs them $100,000 or whatever to print $1 billion, right? Then they loan that money at face value, $1 billion, to the U.S. Corporation.
But see, we don't do billions at a time. We skip right now. Now we don't do it unless it's a trillion.
So when they say that we owe $17 trillion, it's because of that process, which is an asinine process. Who would agree to that?
Well, if I owned that thing, if I could go print that money and put it on my balance sheet, I'd print it every damn chance I got.
Yeah, right.
Being honest with you, and you probably would too, right?
And you know what that's backed by? You know what that's debt backed by? You got to have an asset to offset the debt, right? It's you and I, the sweat of our work. It's our every individual here in the United States and the world at large. It's our output. It's our work. It's our brain power that they're leveraging without our permission.
Right, without our permission. And they get to print it, they get to have it, they get to put it on their balance sheets, but they're using our collective group. They couldn't do it without us, but and it certainly doesn't benefit us because it makes our money worth less money.
Yeah. I don't want to go too in depth because YouTube might ban us and stuff. I don't want to get too crazy. We can talk about this when we get in our own chat rooms and stuff. We can go very detailed of this, but just do your own research. That's what I've done. There's a lot of information out there, so you got to weed through. You got to use your gut. Got to use your critical thinking about what is BS and what is legitimate. But usually, if the mainstream media is really pumping something, it's probably the opposite of what's really happening.
Absolutely.
So that's a good guide in there. But the point for all this is we have blockchain, we have Bitcoin. El Salvador chose to use Bitcoin as their currency. They're a sovereign nation; they can do whatever they want. Can the IMF cut them off and the World Bank? Sure, but has they really helped them? If they stayed in that system, what are they going to get? They're going to get a fast declining in value U.S. dollars,
right?
Or they could get a Bitcoin who's increasing in value every day.
Right. It's interesting. I played golf with a buddy of mine yesterday, and he told me he just got rid of he sold a bunch of his Bitcoin. He's the guy that got in and he made like 8 times on his Bitcoin already, right? So he sold his Bitcoin, and I'm like, well, why did you sell it? And he says, well, he goes, it's kind of dipping, and he says, I thought maybe I could buy it around 20 again, and I'm like, well, I said, I think you missed that boat.
Yeah.
And he says, just with all these ups and downs, he goes, all these other digital coins, he goes, all these things. And I said, that has nothing to do with Bitcoin. I go, you got to understand. I said, Bitcoin, as far as I know, and I may be wrong, but Bitcoin is the only one out there that really has the true algorithmic scarcity. It's only going to have 21 million coins. It's like,
right.
You can't compare these two. You can't compare any other things that come out with Bitcoin because there's nothing else out there like that. I told him, like what Michael Saylor said, I said, if you had, we've got a friend of ours who did really well, and he put about $30 million away, and so what's Johnny doing? He goes, well, he's got it all in like bonds and this kind of stuff. And it's like, he's got that much money. He should take like a third of it and just go put it into freaking Bitcoin, and just like, now it's generational. That's generational wealth there,
Yeah. And I said, bonds were negative paying.
Yeah. I said, the only thing that's frustrating is, I said, people that have Bitcoin right now and they get this urge to sell, it's only because they keep looking at the market every single day. Okay, that's not the way you need to look at this market. This is something that, like I told him, I said, you don't need that money right now. You don't need that Bitcoin. Why are you selling it? You just think, right. It's going to be, we're going to have this conversation again when it keeps going up and up and up. And I'm going to go, why did you do that?
Yeah, when it pops back up to 80,000, he's going back to you say, man, I should have bought there when it was at 30.
And then you're not going to want to buy now. You're going to wait till it goes down. It's like, then you can kind of miss the whole boat. And, you just got to understand, as far as a store of value goes, there's nothing in the world like Bitcoin. It just doesn't have any leaks. You've got stocks and bonds. You've got leaks. You've got commissions. You've got real estate, you've got taxes, you've got all these other things. Where else could you put your money? Like I was talking to my friend yesterday, it's like, one of the biggest challenges is a lot of people, put their money up and then somebody's managing that, right? And then they get a little greedy, and next thing you know, your money's gone. It's like, here, you get to go put it here somewhere and nobody can mess with you. It's like, nobody can mess with you. It's totally protected. I mean, you could sleep pretty well at night knowing that, you've got your whole future generations taken care of because you've done the right thing and you put it in the right place. Nobody can take it.
Yeah. Go watch any Michael Saylor video. Go watch the tutor guy, John. I think it's John, the one we talked about yesterday. Go watch his latest things. He's like, it's the only and best. It's the future. It's the only thing that doesn't leak. Blah 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 blah. We've been saying this for days.
Right.
So don't let us convince you. We're not trying to convince you. Actually, we're just providing information here. You need to go and figure it out for yourself. But it's really easy to do that because it's all in front of us. If you look at Bitcoin's chart since it began till now, it's on a 45-degree angle as far as the price goes, and it's still going that way, which means it goes up every year. That 45-degree angle, you watch the chart, you can see it like this.
Right.
Still going up, and it's going to go 2030. It's going to still be at a 45, maybe a little, even a little higher, but 45 is about the average. So just go look at it. It's in between the things going up and down, but you average it out. It's going up every year, almost doubling, if more than double every year. So just do your own research. Look at it. Once you get over the fact that, if you're in the United States, we're brainwashed that U.S. dollars are the the end all to end all, and it's back when they're backed by something, I would kind of agree with it, but it's not backed by anything right now.
Yeah, nothing's bad. And it's not Doug and I telling you how great this stuff is. What we're doing here with Bitcoin headlines is we're telling you what other people out there that are way smarter than we ever say that we are. Okay, Michael Saylor and these guys are saying that Bitcoin is the greatest invention in the history of mankind. It's like, that's not me saying that. Well, I'm I'm reiterating what he said, but that's a pretty big statement for some guys that are pretty smart guys, right?
And he's put his money where his mouth is. He's put billions of dollars where his mouth is.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to respect that.
When you want to make a smart decision, you look at what other people are doing. A lot of, in the history, a lot of contrarians made a lot of money, but Bitcoin right now is contrarian. It's the popular, which means like the mainstream media and the most governments don't want you in it because they can't control it. So that's why it is contrarian. So that's a good thing. And look at what other very smart people are doing. And Michael Saylor, and it goes on and on. And all the heads of all the large banks, and they're bringing their large clients into it. The regional banks are letting us little guys get into it. It's here to stay.
It's kind of like, one of my big coaches, Tony Robbins, he's into modeling. He says, look, if you want the same result that somebody else has, it's kind of like a recipe. It's kind of like baking a cake.
Yeah.
If you want to have the same success that, Elon Musk and, these kinds, you look at all these real brilliant people out there and the things that they're doing and the things they're talking about, it's just modeling, it's just modeling and following the same path that these other people are on. So,
and math is very stable, right?
Math is the only thing that's stable in this world.
2 + 2 is 4, will be, and always has been.
Yeah, the numbers are the numbers. It always comes back to that. And I think, pretty much everything comes back to math at the end of the day. And,
it does.
And that's the thing that nobody can ever really deny.
No. Yeah, it's I believe that our creator used math in our DNA, and it's in everything. And it's a natural law that you can break natural laws, but what happens when you do that? You can just you're going to suffer the consequences because it's not the way it was designed.
Right.
So when you take if you take a fluorescent bulb and use it as a hammer, what's going to happen? Bust into pieces, right?
Right.
You can still do it, but it's not what it was designed for.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were sitting around talking after we played golf yesterday, and kind of settling up our bets, and nobody around the table had any cash. The only cash anybody had in their pockets, I had like a dime or a quarter to mark your ball.
Right.
But it's like we've almost become like a cashless society, right?
Yeah.
My buddy went down. He went. One of the guys we played with has got this place down in Cabo San Lucas. We'll have to go down there and do an event down there sometime. This place rents for like $3,500 a night. It's just unbelievable, nice. Right? And it's like booked all the time. And my buddy just went down there and spent about a week down there. And he said, yeah, he goes, I saved up like my $5 bills for like about a month, so I could use them as tips down in Mexico. He goes, but other than that, he goes, I can't even remember when the last time was I had cash in my pocket, And
it's far and few in between. And then the apps these days make it so easy.
Yes, I mean, we're literally almost become a digital currency society without a quote unquote digital currency, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
We're already really there. We just don't have like the U.S., the so-called U.S. digital currency or whatever that might be. But we've got your Venmos and the Cash Apps and PayPal and all these other kind of things. So we just sit here after the games, after we bet, and we settle up how much do we owe each other. We just sit there and push buttons on our phone, and that's how we send our money to each other.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome, and it's easy. The frustrating part, like I remember when I was renting a place down here, I had to give a security deposit, and the lady didn't want to check, and she said, "Well, just Venmo me." I go, "Well, the Venmo, they have a limit. It's like
the daily limit,
or whatever it is. It's way less than you want me to give you." So that's the frustrating part about these, and it's kind of the control thing. But in Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever, I could have just sent it there to she would have had it a second later, and everything would have been great.
Yeah, it just gets there, and gets there and it just works, you know?
Yeah, and if she would have took my deposit in Bitcoin when I moved in, the Bitcoin was at $6,000. When I moved out, Bitcoin that's when it was up about 55, 60.
Wow.
And so she would have made bank.
She would have made
gave me back my original money that I gave her, and she would have kept twice that, if not 3 times that, or whatever that is, 6 to 50. That's weight. I don't know.
10 times. That's 10x.
Yeah, at least 10. Yeah, about 9 times.
That's 10x. She would have had 9. She would have had 9 times the deposit left.
Yeah. If I gave her $1,000 deposit, she would give me back my 1,000 and kept 9,000 basically, or 8,000.
Right. Yeah. How'd that work for you?
That's just math too.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Hey, so how are we producing on? We got this case study going on with the Ken and your brother and the whole nonprofit. How's the naming come along?
Yeah, we decided to. My little brother, God bless him. He was always wanted to be he was always a man on the move. He was on in a wheelchair on kind of on a ventilator for almost 30 years. And, his main thing every day he got up is he wanted to go somewhere. And, fortunately, my folks were in a position where we were able to get him like a wheelchair accessible van and, that kind of stuff. So he spent a lot of time at the beach, all the time. And he was always on the go. Can't remember how many times he called me up and asked, Dad, do you have any gas money? I need some gas money,
Oh, that's hilarious.
And it's like, so, talk to my mom, talk to my brother, and we thought a great little symbol or any kind of a name to use would be the wheels, because he was just wheels, because he's always on the go, always on the go. And then, it's something I really kind of want to commemorate this to be kind of more for him. So we're going to go with Ken's Coin is going to be where the kind of the domain name that we'll use for it. So we got that domain kenscoin.io. We'll stick .io to stick with the blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so we're kind of moving along. We've got that piece done, and you had our graphics guy got over a really cool little caricature to us today. So we're moving along.
That looked really awesome.
That looks really cool. I sent that over to my son and my mom this morning, and
yeah. So just let you know, if you're writing down steps and stuff, the name is important. But don't kill yourself on it. But you got to come a good name. And then a nice one-line description that kind of explains the purpose of this coin. And this is all called metadata for a token or for a coin. You got a name, you got a description, you got a symbol, and then you got the outstanding. What is going to be the total outstanding coins available, and that's kind of the core, the minimum metadata. Another good thing is a pointer to the source, so people go look at the source to make sure there's no funny code in there that says, "Hey, give Doug 1 million coins every time somebody buys 1 coin." Make sure that's not in there. So it's always good to have a link up to your source, and so that's part of the metadata. And then the graphics is a big part too. It's Dogecoin. It's the whole deal.
Yeah,
that graphic what's the whole that made it is what it is. So that's how important a nice meme or token icon or logo is. So those are what you got to start with, and then we pretty much got almost all that done. And so next week we'll go over actually getting the coin created and getting it out there in the public and the marketing part of it.
There you go. And another thing that we were talking about before we came on today is what we've found is there are a lot of bots out there on some of these little exchanges like your Uniswap and stuff like that. And, we've seen some instances where these bots are able to go out and acquire a really large amount of, tokens really fast. And then they drive the price up and then they're selling real fast. And now they're holding on to a big giant wallet, which is kind of keeping some other investors on the sidelines, because then they're scared as soon as they come in that, the bot's going to go in and dump a bunch of stuff in their wallet and stuff. So, we talked about
just so people that understand it. I'll just reiterate exactly what you just said. There's these computer programs that watch the internet and look for new tokens being entered. They can just monitor Etherscan that .io, and whenever a new contract comes up, they go and they with Changeling or Uniswap, you just swap. There's no really purchasing it. You just swap Ethereum for that token, and they're doing that quickly. as it's running up, and then they're selling it as it's running down. But then they hold on to a big chunk, which caused the real people with millions of dollars, right? They said, "Hey, we want to get behind this token," but they know that when they start buying that, those bots have a potential of dumping their whole inventory, which will drive the price down. So you got to be careful, and you got to put in some checks and balances to try to keep it to a minimum, controlling it, right?
Right. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where we're looking at all the different kinds of alternatives, because the last thing you want to do is you have some bot come in there and drive it all up, and then have everybody sitting on the sidelines. And, I've seen that with one of these coins now that went off about a week ago, and, it's down, it's lost about 80% of its value just because everybody that was sitting on the side all excited about it, scared about these bots, So these are all the kind of things that you kind of learn going through this case study here with us, and see all the different, the potential things that are good. You see the things out there that you've got to watch for. And, you just got to pay attention to all of these little things, because, if you don't dot all the I's and cross all the T's, you could have, some other little challenges out there that you weren't ready for. So we're hoping that we can get through all these without any challenges. Well, we know that we're going to have challenges. Nothing that you ever do, and nothing that
we're going to try to limit them as small as possible.
Right.
Even our experience and our savvy and our critical thinking to be able to do that.
Yeah. So, you got to do what you can to make sure that you cover as many bases as you can, and just keep playing, and understand that there's always going to be ups, there's downs, there's negatives, there's good things you got to look at, and just try and figure out how to solve the problem the best you can.
With King's Coin Wheels, our goal, and this is the mission, basically the mission sentence, is to raise $100,000 for 250,000 families that are affected by muscular dystrophy across the United States and the world. That would enhance those families' lives immediately, and the life of the person that has the disease also. Yeah. So that's our goal, and we're going to work hard to reach, or not, if not beat that.
Absolutely. It's something after going through in this and living through this, it is seeing what these kids have to go through, dealing with this disease, it's just so hard. And these kids really just seeing them smile, is everything. And, we just want to try and help some of these families. I was fortunate. My folks, my dad was in a pretty good spot, and, he was, a fairly savvy guy financially. And we were able to have, a wheelchair accessible van. We were able to have a little golf cart that my brother could actually drive around and feel like that was his car, since he was never really going to get a car to drive or something,
right.
And things like that. But, I also understand, we were one of the few. There's not everybody has that challenge. And I know that, from having kids myself, that, wow, having kids is a big enough responsibility, but when you get another burden that comes on top that nobody's expecting with all of these other things, it's just really difficult. So we want to just try and help alleviate some of that financial burden, and just make their life as good as we can, make them as happy as they can for as long as we can.
Yep.
So
that's where we're at. I think we could wrap it up. What do you think?
I think so. I think, we're good. We got a lot of good stuff going on here. I got the U.S. Open here this weekend in my backyard. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I'm going to be spending some time out there this weekend, and we will be back Monday morning. Actually, I've got a golf tournament. So we will be back on Tuesday.
Okay.
Tuesday strong, 8:00, and we'll have a lot more stuff for you. So anything else, Doug?
That's it. You have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. And we will be back, and be back at you on Tuesday. Thanks.
Tuesday.